right, we are
Very good.
live. And what's up, Mr. Nick? How you doing,
What's up,
buddy?
Dustin? Happy Friday. We're
Happy
here.
Friday to you. We are here. We finally made it.
We
Another
made we,
week's
we
in the
survived the
books.
week, right? We made it through the week.
Well,
Man.
it's not quite over. I got to survive the next 4, 5, 6 hours, and
hmm
then I go play golf with my daughter tomorrow, and that ought to
That
be
sounds
fun.
awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited. That sounds man, we're not warm enough yet. We cooled off again. We're over
What a
45
bummer.
degrees outside right now.
No, I think it's probably it's a little
Don't even
cooler. It's like
yeah.
70s out there right now.
Yeah. God, I'd give my left arm for 70.
Yeah, man. I tell you, it's nice. Yeah, we're gonna go play some golf tomorrow. Maybe hit the boat on Sunday. We're doing
Nice.
a total chill this weekend. Gonna spend some time. I travel over the next few weeks, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend a little time with her and the fam. So
It's important.
it'll
It's
be fun.
important.
Be cool.
Little throwback to last week's work-life balance,
That's
right?
right. Trying to have the little life side of that balance
Uh-huh. Let's
before I go
but
overload on work.
this week, I think we got a good topic. Let's
We
talk
do.
a little revenue streams, a little cash flow. Let's
Yeah,
make some extra money outside of detailing.
yeah. I mean, it's an interesting topic. I think most detailers and most business people can relate. You start business, business is going well, you got
hmm
things running. How do we add to that? How do we
hmm
bring in another revenue stream? How do we, compensate for the slow time or how do we add to that? And
Yeah.
so, talking about other revenue streams, talking about other businesses, what maybe they work with detailing, maybe they're completely separate. I think both of us have other businesses. Some are
Mhm.
related, some aren't. So definitely think it's a great topic today.
And I think it's also interesting to point out, it's like you don't necessarily have to be a business owner to be thinking of these other revenue streams. You know what I mean? Maybe you're an employee at a detail shop. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe you're just starting out, you're a one-man show. That's great. And it's slow time. You know what I mean? And you're going to diversify a little bit. I think it's important to sort of look at it from that bigger picture too for the show today.
Yeah, I think so. It's an interesting viewpoint of it, but definitely. I mean, Chris is right off set here. I know he does some side work, doing the same thing, similar things that he does here.
Yep.
He does some on the side, shoots weddings and other events. He shot some for myself as well. Does a great job. So
Do we
yeah,
get
I
do we get
mean,
a little photo? Do we get some photos there? Let's see some of we gotta get
no,
Chris's stuff on here.
those can't be put online. No, I'm just playing.
Oh,
No,
good.
but diversified income, right?
Uh-huh.
He's adding two. So yeah, let's talk about first of all, Nick. I know you have multiple businesses. You want to kind of let us know like what outside of detailing do
Yeah.
you have going on?
So, the main business inside of our 5,000 square feet, we got the two locations.
Hmm.
We got the car wash, the detailing, the
Yep.
ceramic, the mold. You know what I mean? That's the car side.
Yep.
Outside of that, we also have a full service dog grooming facility.
Oh
So
wow. Yep.
you got a dirty dog and a dirty car. We're a one stop shop.
Bring them
Uh,
both at the same time.
bring them both in at the same time. They're both coming out clean.
Okay.
But we're doing a lot of dogs and a
Yeah.
lot of haircuts and baths, and it's a full service facility.
Yep.
And outside of that, I got a couple rental properties. The real estate was something that I really wanted to start early,
Sure.
and that
Sure.
was something that was planned, and it takes a lot of time to save up and get going there.
It does. It does. I mean, and so all these things, these
Mhm.
other businesses, they seem very unrelated to detailing.
Yeah.
Even though you're cleaning one thing, you're cleaning another thing, but it's still unrelated, really. I mean, and so your reason for doing that is what?
I think the biggest thing is trying to maximize the square footage, right? We had 1,200 square feet we weren't using. There used to be a dry cleaners next to us,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't associated. They went under. We're like, okay, we got the lease on the whole building. We got to put something in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and I know we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we did before, but
Yeah,
I was breeding, importing, doing some German Shepherd training. So I knew a lot of people in the
really.
dog industry. Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
there, all my dogs speak German. So yeah. And then,
Seriously.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's
Oh,
like, you see, you learned
that's
something new
great.
about me
Yeah,
today.
I would definitely learn something new today.
Yeah, but I
That's
knew a lot
really
of people
cool.
in the dog industry, and then yeah, we just ended up rocking and rolling. We're like, let's see if it works. I was gonna put a do-it-yourself, make it super easy, no headaches,
Hmm.
and then it just sort of scaled from there. And we took our time. I wasn't necessarily looking to put food on our table from it. It was just a business venture.
Right, and it's an addition too. It's
Hmm.
it's sometimes it could be your running money or your play money, or something that you're
Hmm.
saving up for. When we do these things, it doesn't always have to be a whole nother business. It
Yeah.
can be a little side hustle that you're doing for a specific reason.
Yeah.
And same concept. So I have multiple businesses. I have, of course, we have the detailing operation.
Hmm.
We have a retail store where we sell apparel, AFCO, marshwear,
Yeah.
and outdoor, like sports. Well, not sports apparel, but like outdoor wear.
Yeah.
And then we have the storage business. Of course, everybody knows Detail Bookie is a software company. And then we have a marketing company and an events planning company. So there's quite a few things there. And
What
I
was that
love.
timeline like? What was like the first,
Oh,
second,
this the
third?
first? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so it went easy in was detail and storage first.
Okay.
Then I bought some property that I had a building on it, just like you. I had to fill up some space. It
Yeah.
was 6,000 feet though.
That's a lot of space. Yeah.
So we did retail,
Yeah.
but we didn't start out that way.
Yeah.
We started out actually selling bait
Okay.
and like marine parts and RV parts and
Okay.
things. And then we had some hats and stuff like that on the side. I realized, hey, that was much easier to sell than always having the wrong size or color or whatever of a part, or
Yeah.
having dead shrimp. So yeah, so we went in that, then retail, and then software came next.
Okay.
Because software was out of need. I needed to
Okay.
manage my business.
Yeah.
Then marketing, because I had to market all this business, and
Yeah.
honestly, the reason the marketing company exists was, like, we wanted to, when I hired Madison on, I always did our own marketing. I never hired a marketing firm. But I hired Madison, which is our marketing director now, and she had aspirations of doing her own, running her own marketing company, and I knew that I wanted to build a team that we could do a lot of cool things, and I knew there was
Yeah.
only so much Easy In and Detail Bookie could really pay for marketing. So how can I build this big team if it's just us paying?
Yeah.
And so inevitably we started the company to get more business so we could build the team, and then the events planning company came out of a need. We needed the boat show canceled. We had to plan a boat show,
Yeah.
and
Next thing you know, you got an event company.
yeah, so like things just happen. But we can, and we're going to talk about all that, and I love that. But I love something you brought up about the things that didn't work,
Yeah.
and I think that we can talk a little bit about those things as well, because not all side hustles last forever, and
Yeah.
not all businesses make it. And
Yeah.
so I think we should talk about some of those things that didn't make it as well, and know that as you're running your company and you're thinking about these things, some things are meant for a season, some things are meant for a lifetime, and I think you just.
I think you hit on it right there, because the temporary aspect of it kind of falls into that category where it's like, hey, when does it not become ROI positive on my time?
Yeah,
Right.
amen.
And that's the thing where I think a lot of these different side hustles, businesses, whatever you want to call them, that I've done, and I'm sure you've done too, it kind of hits that mark where you're like, man, I'm putting in too much time, too much effort, and not getting the return based on my other projects.
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
When
And
is
then
it
you have,
taking more than it's giving?
and sometimes I enjoy those projects more, but it's
Yeah.
making, you got to make these decisions for your time.
Well, and I think financially helps you make that decision a little faster. Sometimes, I'm the same way. I like the hard part. I like solving the problems. Once all the problems are solved, I kind of get a little bored with it.
You-
But
can I touch on that real quick? Because I think
yeah,
that was,
yeah, go
going
ahead.
to be my next topic.
Love that.
For me, it's like once you solve that Rubik's Cube, you know what I mean? Then it's not as fun anymore.
No, it's not.
And,
it's not.
and
It's just
the
a
one thing I
fun
point to when I was younger, you know what I mean? I used to saltwater aquariums, you know what I mean? Like that was a hobby of mine when I was a kid, right? I started with a 12-gallon, I did a 150-gallon, and then I built into our car wash a 1,500-gallon saltwater aquarium.
No kidding.
You know, after that, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where am I going to go from 1,500 gallons?
Right.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
the same kind of like that happens with a lot of these different businesses and ventures, where I kind of hit this wall of boredom, and then I'm going to go find something new that I enjoy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you can stay focused enough to see it to the end, and you can figure out a way to exit it, whether it's just close it down or sell it off or whatever. I think there's opportunities in there. that you do the hard part and then you pass it on along, or sometimes
Yeah.
you just grow out of it. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just, hey, it was fine for a season, you know.
Mhm.
And when I mean a season, I don't really mean like like sprinter, spring or
It's
winter
like a
or
season
whatever.
of your life.
A season of your life, yeah. So it
Yeah.
could be years. It could be a few years, and you say, hey, you know what? I've done this. I check it off the list. I've learned a
Yeah.
lot. Another thing, we need to talk about is what you learn from these misadventures, I guess, or what
Mhm.
not. So we'll talk about the bait store. So when I bought Easy In property that we're at now, I
Mhm.
had the big store, 6,000 square feet, and my vision was these storage customers. I mean, with a lot of boats and campers, were all going out and they were fishing and doing these things, and I felt like, okay, they would come here and probably shop and get a broken tail light, or
Yeah.
fix a broken tail light, but maybe they're going to the beach and they're going to be fishing. They get some shrimp and some hooks or whatever. And I just had this vision of the business that, like, in the end, it just wasn't true. What really happens is these storage customers show up twice a year to come get their stuff and they leave.
Yeah.
They're not the other 10,000
They're not coming
customers.
through.
No, they're coming here for a moment and then they're leaving. And chances are they're in a hurry about it because they got to go pack or they got to go load it or whatever. And they're not like that thrilled to be here, actually.
Yeah, and then, but I guess making that decision of like, hey, like you said, seeing those inefficiencies in the business, right, and saying, you know what, maybe that's that bait and tackle and parts aspect. We got to pivot, and that's hard
Right.
sometimes.
It is hard because you're emotionally attached to some of these decisions. You're like, hey, this is what I thought it would be, and are you giving up on that? Like, how hard are you willing to work? How much money are you willing to invest before you say, enough's enough? This thing just don't work.
Yeah.
And so, but I think you can gauge that by feel, right? So if I had thousands of customers coming through the door, and my only problem, what was keeping me from making money, was keeping the shrimp alive. Or my only problem was I just had the wrong hooks every
How
now and
many dead shrimp did you have over there,
then.
Dustin?
Dude, can you feel the pain? Listen, let me tell you what the problem was.
He's bringing
I'll
up
tell
these
you
dead shrimp, and I'm
keeping
like,
these damn shrimp alive was like, you want to talk about a Rubik's Cube of a problem?
yeah,
We don't live close enough. Here's the problem. This is funny. I know everybody's going to cry. All right, the problem is we don't live quite close enough to the salt water for me to get my own salt water.
yeah,
So, and shrimp are very particular about the water they live in.
yeah,
They're very easy to kill with the wrong temperature, and it's cool water, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I end up inevitably making my own salt water, and you have to filter it. And
Yeah.
by the way, shrimp need to swim into the current, so you have to build current into the tank. And
yeah.
dude, don't buy it. If you have all right, look, anybody listening that wants to own a bait store, just don't. Okay, it's not worth it.
Oh, that's cracking me up because you got nightmares of shrimp there. You got you come in, you open the door, you're unlocking the door in the morning into the bait and tackle shop. Dead shrimp everywhere.
Hey, and check this out. Bait stores don't
massive-
open at 8 a.m. Bait stores open at 4 a.m., okay?
Yeah, you got to be early.
You got to be there early and stay late. So, let me tell you my hours. Okay, so I would go open the bait store at 4. I'd
Yeah.
run it from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
I'd come to Easy In. I'd open up Easy In at 7.
Yeah.
I had a bait store down the street.
Yeah.
I would run Easy In from 7 to 5. Then
Yeah.
I'd go back to the bait store and run it from 5 to 7. Close.
Oh my god. How long was that bait store going?
Oh, shit. Too damn long. Probably a couple years.
Yeah. So
terrible.
what I do is I always put a timeline, right?
Okay.
Where if I'm going into a venture, it could be even something mobile detailing, PPF, ceramic, right? Or a side venture. I put a 2-year window where I'm not looking to make anything for 2 years. It's going to be a total cash suck, right?
Yep.
But you need to have that proof of concept, and you have to see it through. You know what I
Right.
mean? You
You
sort of
gotta give it
plan
time.
out what it's going to cost you and what you would like to make it in 5 to 7 years. But it's like unless you're looking long term with it, you know what I mean? You're going to be feeling that extra pressure that you probably shouldn't be feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if you kind of define that early, then at least you have something to weigh it against once you get there.
Yep. The one though, I know that we have one. I don't know if it's a failure, but it's definitely an adventure, right? I think we both went down that U-Haul. Let's give they're not a sponsor, but let's give U-Haul a shout out. We've both gone down that U-Haul side hustle.
We did.
Go ahead, I'll let you start. Let's hear how easy I handled that
my
U-Haul.
adventure with U-Haul. U-Haul was fun. I mean, it was good. It generated a little revenue. We did it to create foot traffic
Okay.
in our store. We're not on the main. Well, we're on the main street, but the store is off the road, probably 1,000 feet, and doesn't have windows in the front, so you do not know what we sell by driving by at all. And so we used U-Haul to help bring customers in.
Yeah.
The problem with U-Haul is the software that they use, and this would be if somebody wanted to make a lot of money, y'all build U-Haul some software, they need it. And let me tell you another problem is those customers, when they come in, something about U-Haul customers, and I think it's the fact that they're moving on Saturday morning and they're pissed off about it. Okay,
And you know you're busy that day. And that's when everything else is going crazy.
They're busy, man, would rather do anything, and you're making pennies, and you're seeing what U-Haul's charging. They're charging $5,000 for this rental, and you're making $50 on it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so mad about this."
Yeah.
No, what was your experience with U-Haul?
The first thing that comes to mind is just, man, I had to go through those hours of those training videos.
Yes.
And then every time there's this stick they had to go check the tires with. I still got that stick in case someone wants to. Yeah, and you're whacking tires, and and it's just a thing of, again, it just wasn't something that flowed easily into the business model of what we were doing.
Let me tell you a funny story. I can say it now. I think the statute of limitations is out on this thing, so I think I'm safe. Okay, funny story, real quick. We were renting U-Hauls, and I was working Saturday morning, and a motorhome pulled up, and they were renting a car hauler for a truck that they wanted to pull, right? And it was a Jeep Wagoneer, I think, like one of the big Jeep Cherokee things. Yeah. And it was brand spanking new. Maybe it was a Jeep Cherokee. I don't know. It was a big Jeep. And so he shows up. This guy shows up, and everything that can go wrong during this rental is going wrong. And we ain't even got to the point where he's trying to put in his vehicle information. It's just like everything's going wrong. His name and all the stuff that was in, the credit card was in, blah, blah, blah. So we're redoing it, and this guy's getting frustrated as shit. So when I go in, and in U-Haul, you have to put in the vehicle information that you're towing, and it tells you if they can tow that vehicle or not. Yeah. And I'm plugging in the information, and
you're about to hit this guy with a, no, you can't tow that.
Dude. And he's going to Atlanta, Georgia, from Mobile, Atlanta, Georgia. He got a 7-hour ride ahead of him. Yeah. Okay. And it tells me it can't take that particular vehicle. And I'm like, I can see this guy's smoke coming out of his ears already. And I'm not about to tell him that. So I'm like, Dustin, why don't I just roll down to one of these vehicles that it will tow and select it? Okay. And so I did that. I selected this whatever, like Jeep 2-door Wrangler. You know, like 3,200 pounds. Anyways, so I'm like, all right. And I plug in, and I rent him the trailer. And I go out there, and I put the Jeep on the trailer. Yeah. Chain it down and everything. Guess what happens in Atlanta, Georgia, in 12 lanes of traffic?
Oh, no. Yeah. That puppy goes loose.
The Jeep comes off the trailer.
Really?
And crosses 12 lanes of Atlanta traffic and doesn't hit another car and goes off and just totals on the other side. So, not the owner, the vice president of U-Haul calls me, and he's like, "Hey, we're looking into this thing, and it seems like the wrong vehicle is on there." And I was like, "Oh man, no, we put out the vehicle that he told us he had on the computer." And he's like, "Okay, that's what we're gonna go with." Is this recorded? No. So now it is, but I think we're clear on the statute of limitations.
No,
but I mean, so like these things that we get ourselves into to make a quick buck. How worth it is it? How, catastrophe happened, the liability. Some things aren't worthwhile, and it was not very long after that we got rid of U-Haul.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like we had U-Haul taken away from us. It was the city that said, "Hey, Libertyville said no one's renting in our." They took it away from anybody at U-Haul, Penske.
Customers are mean.
Yeah. So you know what? That was the biggest. We still have U-Haul still showing up. I think we're still on their website, but the city doesn't allow us to do it.
Sure.
So sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
That's right.
You know what
Things
I mean?
happen for a reason, man.
Yep.
Things happen for a reason. Listen to them as they happen. We used to sell campers. We sold Christmas trees one year. That was a conundrum.
So the key word that I'm hearing is the we. Right? I'm hearing we did these things. I'm going to jump in real quick because what I end up doing is anything I start is an I because I don't, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of these crazy things is like, again, I was really into Amazon FBA. Are you
Okay.
familiar with that?
I'm not. No. What
No,
is it?
so that's just selling stuff on Amazon.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So buy it, sell it.
buy it, sell it, flip,
Got it. Yeah. Flip
doing
it.
that
Yep.
flip stuff before it sort of really became popular,
Yeah.
and super expensive. So I was there. If I have my free time, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go invest my time into something new and
Mm-hmm.
interesting that e-commerce was interesting to me at the time.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was built a storage room and sort of put more and more and more. And then eventually it hits that wall is
Yeah.
like, hey, we did 100 grand on Amazon FBA selling and
Wow.
flipping stuff.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I hit a wall of, my God, this is taking up so much of my time. Do I go
Mm-hmm.
and scale it? You know what I mean? Do I
Yep.
go this way?
Bring
And
in help and
yep.
yeah and yeah.
And then I end up saying, no, I'm out. As soon as it got really popular, you know what I mean? Everyone's flipping stuff on
Yeah.
eBay and doing all that stuff. As soon as it got popular, I get
Sure.
out. You know what I mean? Once it becomes a
Uh,
buzz there.
I think I'm similar in that aspect. I
Mhm.
mean, like I like to solve the hard problems. I like to be unique in things.
Why are you making it harder for yourself? Well, don't make it harder for yourself.
I know that's a habit.
You know.
It's good. No. All right. So I mean, look. So diversifying income, it comes
Mhm.
natural. I think entrepreneurial mindset just kind of causes you to think about those opportunities and take advantage
Mhm.
of them. Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
But we talk about the things that don't work. Talk about maybe some of the ones that did. Obviously, the dog grooming that's been successful for you, right?
Yeah. That's been a really
and
interesting, fun
and
venture.
you've leaned into that business, and now it's like it's not a side hustle. This isn't a
No.
thing you're
Yeah.
playing with. This is an actual business, like
Yeah.
along with your detailing business. It's
Yeah.
up running and it's generating revenue.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's something where, there's only so much space. Then you decide, is it worth expansion? We're probably not
Right.
going to. But now it's really just the details, right?
Yep. Yep.
For
How do
lack
we
of a
be
better
great at
word,
it?
similar
Yep.
to like the car wash, the detail center, right? It's just
Hmm.
improving it, making it more efficient.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you've sort of made it with a certain business where you're there
And
trying to iron out all those little details and make it the best that it can be.
and that's the fun part because usually it's making money by that point. You're just trying to squeeze the sponge. You're trying to dial in
Hmm.
every little thing to make it
Yeah.
really perform.
Yeah. And I think that's the part of business that's that Rubik's Cube you'll never solve. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Well, it
That's the
never
part that
ends.
keeps you involved, and engaged.
Hmm.
Where, hey, I'm gonna redo their website the way I did with Splash. I've got these list
Yeah.
of things that I'm gonna do with it to
Yep.
see how. But the one thing that I really want to touch on before we jump into some of those other successes
Hmm.
is, I think the timing of anyone that's watching the show is like, ask yourself where you are in your life. Because
Hmm.
for me, out of college, I told myself, hey, I'm going and getting my doctorate or my master's or whatever it is in entrepreneurship. Every
Hmm.
single day I went to work, I went in to learn, not necessarily to make money. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yep.
kind of that
Absolutely.
mindset sort of gave me that opportunity to fail without that much risk. And there was no ego. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
No.
went in, yeah.
That's right. You put the ego to the side, and listen. I mean, you do things with the best intentions, and some work and some don't. But
Yeah.
you go after it, and like so diversifying the income is all about like, okay, we can make X amount of dollars. Some things you can control in business, and some things are out of your control. Seasonality is mostly out of your control.
Yeah.
You can control the percentage in which it affects you.
Hmm.
However, the fact that it's going to affect you is inevitable because you're not going to do the same amount of money in summer as you are in the winter in detailing.
Yeah.
So we look to branch out, right? We look
Hmm.
to like fill that gap because we don't want to fire everybody. We want to keep things running, and we want to make the same amount of money. My lifestyle doesn't change just because it's cold outside. I need to be able to pay for my house and
Hmm.
the power bill, and I need my employees to make the same amount of money year round. And
Yeah.
so we do those things to diversify them. Pet grooming was yours, and I chose a few others as as one of them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
same here, like storage and retail just kind of worked its way out. But the willingness to take that risk and do this thing is I think what it boils down to.
Yeah, and what the only other thing I was thinking of is with some of the most recent stuff, right? Like, again, I was having a headache with our ATM guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went and bought two ATMs, and now what I mean, I created an LLC for an ATM
Yep.
business, right? Completely separated, and they're going to be in the stores. You know what I mean? And I'm not looking to make money off of it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
thing. It's just a matter of just doing it. You know what I mean? Just, hey,
Well,
I'm
You
gonna have to.
mentioned the LLC, and I think that's a good point to talk about. So at what point, I'm sure a lot of you watching, and we're not, neither one of us are business attorneys, but forming the LLC is important, especially if your business. First of all, if you're going on to other property, or if you're affecting other people, where
Yeah.
there's liability, where something could go wrong. ATM machine could fall on a kid. That's a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big problem, and you want to have that protection from the LLC to separate personal versus business, and
And it's
so
also the one other thing is from business to business.
absolutely business to business.
Don't go throw
Because
that ATM business under your detailing business, right?
No.
I separate everything.
And the reason being, like for legal reasons, so you do that so you can have clear separation if there was an issue of liability. If there's an issue where an insurance company was coming after you, they're going to look to anything that's involved. So if it's wrapped up under your detailing business, guess what? Every asset that your detailing business owns is now liable for payment that is any issue. So that's clear separation, and that's a whole show in itself. But I know people are like, well, when do I do that? When is it formal enough? If you're selling lemonade, or at the detail shop, like you don't have to form an LLC. If you're doing window tint along with your detailing, and that's your new revenue stream, probably don't have to form a new LLC. If you're opening up a second location, you may consider that, and maybe not. But
the only thing is I do push a little harder on whether if, let's say one of my guys details out of his house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or people, they groom out of their house. You know what I mean? Like, I encourage that. I want them to make extra money.
Yeah. That's right.
But I do recommend that they do the insurance and they do the LLC.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm like, because at the second let's say they're doing it at their house, they walk onto your property and something can go wrong.
Yep.
Now, you see what I'm saying? Then you're in some.
Yeah, you are. And, and if you're not doing it with the true cost of business, then
it's not necessarily a sustainable
sense of you're getting a false sense of how business is going to be profitable for you, because once you go legal, and then you have all these new expenses that are affecting your income. So but there's a lot of good things about LLC. But if it's simple, right? If you add an ice machine, an ice machine. Well, we have ice machines, and so if you add an ice machine over there and you're just generating a little revenue, we didn't start a new LLC for the ice machine.
Okay.
It just wasn't there. I didn't feel the need. There's minimal that can go wrong. What, your hand gets cold? I don't know. And it was really covered under our general liability anyway. Like, I mean, anything that's going to happen out there is covered under general liability. It's probably would have happened without the ice machine. Like, a slip and fall or a wreck or something like that.
Absolutely.
Whatever. But we do divide now. So in saying that, the revenue is divided out in our books. So we know exactly the cost of the ice machine. We know exactly what it costs for a bag of ice, and we know exactly the sales for the ice machine. We don't mix that in with our detailing income just because it's under the same LLC.
And that makes great sense. Like, I think what we did vending machines, and it's kind of like the first vending machine, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't toss it into its own LLC, but it's like, it's like, okay, hey, are we going to add vending at both stores? Are we going to offer it to, like, I know the local businesses in the area? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yep.
It
you
depends
answer
what
some questions about the size of it. Chris has got a comment coming in for us, Billy Smith. Some of us need side hustle in order to keep our minds sharp. Not all are winners, but some are. Absolutely. A lot of us, like, just want to be busy. It keeps us out of trouble.
Yeah.
So, and it does keep our minds sharp. And that challenge, that constant challenge or need to solve problems is
it's a two-sided sword. It's a two-sided sword. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. Because then you're putting time into these different projects that you're so excited about, but then that's going to take away from something else.
It takes away.
It's only those 24 hours, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It does.
And then so if you're going over here and let's just say selling lemonade and you're making $3, where if you would have spent that same 30 minutes in the shop, made $300, what's the right thing to do there? And I think you really need to consider those things as you're doing other businesses. And look, I'm guilty as well. I'm sure my dad's probably listening, saying, "Son, you got to take notes from yourself because, like, I'm guilty, man. I like to venture out. I like to try things, and who's to say if I wouldn't spend that exact same amount of time into a business that's already up and running and going, well, maybe that would have been more profitable or more efficient or busier or whatever."
And again, that side hustle isn't always going to be just about the dollars and cents, right? You'll make a couple nickels, you know what I mean? Like, it's great,
Yeah.
but if you enjoy it, that's where you have an opportunity to make it really successful. A couple other ones oh my God, I've done too many, I think.
Yeah.
We went through the crypto wave, right?
Yeah.
We were mining, we were doing a bunch of crazy stuff with crypto.
Nice.
I was buying and selling, real high end like sports cards, Michael Jordan rookies and whatnot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of crazy stuff, and I just enjoyed it. It was fun, but again, it always hits that wall of like, hey, at what point is it taking away from the primary business, and at what point does it not scalable?
I think mine were always more more service based. Like I was always doing something and charging for it rather than buy and sell.
Okay.
I don't know why I've always been like that. I feel like to serve is kind
You just want to serve those shrimps on a platter, Dustin. I'm telling you.
Those damn shrimp. Those things like to kill me, man. I'm getting a headache thinking about those shrimp. Like who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I know, but
shrimp
sometimes
are that hard to keep alive. Dipping shrimp at 4 a.m. That's my dad right there, by the way. He knows.
Yeah.
I had built the thing in the back of my truck, and I had it spray foamed insulated. It's a big 250-gallon tote one, and I had it spray foamed, and I'd go show up, and they'd pump these shrimp over into it, and then I'd have pumps and aerators and shit. Dude, it was a pain.
It sounds like a pain.
I would much rather wash a car.
The one that I know sort of stands out that I don't know if it's a failure. I never like saying the word failure, but we put a pause on it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We have the Liberty Dog Spa, right? Full service grooming. But then we were going to do Liberty Dog Supply, right? Which is going to be an e-commerce side of selling and,
leashes, clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without having a lot of experience in it, it's a project that turned into just in-person retail that's been doing really well. There's, people are coming in the door, they're buying whatever crazy stuff. But the e-commerce side is one that I kind of only have dove into. You know what I mean? It was something where we made the Shopify. Again, I did a lot of stuff on Fiverr, just outsourced a bunch of stuff. It's okay. It looks professional. But then the marketing side is where it kind of fell flat, where I was like, man, do I really want to dive into this?
Yeah, how much effort are you going to push it?
And then you look at the margins and you're competing with, PetSmart, and I'm like,
well, that's the thing about it. Everybody thinks e-commerce, you just because you put it online, it automatically sells. And the competition on e-commerce there is no customer service really.
Yeah.
So what's going to stand? What separates us from Amazon?
You got to be unique.
Walmart,
the product has to be unique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so you don't have the benefit of telling everybody your story that walks in the door because they're shopping at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So. And you got to get their attention. You got to get them to the store. So, man, look, dude, lots of good stuff about side hustles and about other income streams. Obviously, we both are fans. We think that, if it's the right time in your business journey, and you have the ability to add to what you're building, I think that. I think you should. I think you got to weigh the time that you have to spend on it, the money that you have to invest in it, weigh your expectations. How quick do you need this thing to be profitable?
Yeah.
Because like Nick said, 2 years. I mean, he gives it 2 years before he's ready to make, before he has to make money on it. And 2 years is a long time to invest. I can self-admit software. I expected it to be broke even. A lot earlier than it was. So, there was a huge investment in that. And, looking back, had I known then what I know now, who knows what you do differently. So, I think adding other revenue streams into your business is smart under the right circumstances. Make sure that you have the right expectations, the financial ability to do so, the time to spend on it, and the drive and the effort,
Enjoy it. Enjoy whatever you're going to do, man. If you're detailing, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. You're going to make money. If you enjoy it and you're trying to do the best that you can, you're gonna come out the other end in a good spot.
Yep, spot on, man. Spot on. Anything else you want to throw out there about the other revenue streams?
No. Easiest thing you guys can do is if go pick up a lift, put it in your garage, rent it out. You know what I mean? There's apps that do it now. I just picked up a lift for my garage. You know what I mean? I
Uh-huh.
rent it out all year long. I put some
So
nice cars in there. Go ahead.
yeah, so a lift that like picks it up off the ground.
So it's 2 cars in one spot.
Oh yeah,
See, yeah, so it's one
that's what you
spot.
said earlier. Okay, I
Yeah.
missed some pieces
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So
Okay,
I did that. I'm not using the garage space, and I'd rather cash flow $200 a month, $2,400 a year, pays for the lift, and
get out of
you know what I mean,
here.
like in a year and a
Yeah,
half. It's
that
it's
is
it's
that's awesome. Man, you're gonna look around this. You're gonna look around the shop here and have cars picked up everywhere.
if you've got a spot to put the lift in, you know
Oh
what I mean?
man,
The
do
little
we have a
hydraulic,
spot? We have 6.5 acres over
you
here.
got
Like,
room. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the car storage thing, it's a supply and demand thing. If you're in the right area, you
yeah,
know,
sure, sure.
heated,
That's right,
temperature controlled, you know, private access, so it's not like people are coming in and out of your garage. You
right.
know, it's yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
it's just something different. Something different.
Love it, man. Love it.
Awesome.
Always great talking to you, brother. I love your insight on that. I mean, the U-Haul that we both went down that
The
journey is
U-Haul
pretty
and the trim.
funny.
We can tell people not to do those two.
Stick away from stay away from those. Seriously, man. If you have the opportunity and everything makes sense, we say go for it. It has worked for both for us. I mean, we
Uh-huh.
have ones that didn't. We have some that do. So keep pressing. Next
Awesome.
week, we don't know what we'll be talking about yet, do we?
No, it's gonna be, but we'll have something
It's going to be a
exciting.
good show. It's going to be a good show. We like
Yeah.
the way this is headed. So, of course, everybody can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook Live.
hmm
Keep a heads up. We may have a little secret up our sleeve of
We
some
got some
big
fun stuff
changes coming to the
planned.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah. So I'm excited. We'll see everybody soon.
sounds good, brother. We will see y'all next week.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yep.